Hello, fellow pet lovers. How in the world are you? Today we're going to talk about raising puppies.
Hello, it's me, Dr. B. Today we're here for Volume 2, Session 2, Saga 2, continuation of what we started yesterday about the overview of looking at Ovation's 6 puppies and their weight gains and the things that we can do and can't do and should do and shouldn't be doing, and we're caring for this litter. And I pretty much emphasized the fact that a good memory is great, but you've got to take notes, you've got to have a notebook, you've got to have some documentation that you can fall back on, because if something goes wrong, if something happens, if you want to know what's going on, you'll have something that you can really fall back on. The second thing is, what you're looking at now is the weight gain tracking chart that we use for all our litters to keep track of the puppies. The single most important data that you can collect is their weight on a daily basis. And if you start worrying about them, I'll show you how you can actually do more than that. We can do that for a second here. But their weight up, down, or the same will give you instant data on where you're at. So yesterday we said that mother's milk on day 0 when they're born and the first 2 days is coming out in colostrum. Colostrum happens over 48 hours. This is the same chart I used yesterday, except I recopied the numbers on it and got my scribbles off it so we could start a little bit more fresh today. Puppy's milk and colostrum is going to be absorbed by the puppy's intestinal tract for the first 48 hours. After 48 hours, 2 things happen. Mother stops making colostrum and goes to milk, so the high globulin count goes to 0, and you have the high quality of bitch's milk that's coming out. The canine milk output is significantly higher in butterfat and fat content than pretty much almost any other mammal. Dogs, compared to people or pigs or horses, extremely high butterfat. So trying to use a human milk replacer, if you are feeding orphan puppies, just is not going to work. If you have to do a supplemental feeding for whatever reason, you need a commercially available puppy milk replacer, PMR, or the S-Black product that is designed and balanced and to simulate the high fat content of bitch's milk. So on day 2, we left them at Big Red gaining 1 and everybody else kind of lagging behind. We said that the fluctuations for the first day or 2 downward or flat is expected because there's not much nutrition in colostrum. It's all antibodies, and there's not much volume in the colostrum, and there's not much antibodies. If there's not much volume, some of these puppies will get dehydrated. So the main reason for the weight loss is a little bit of dehydration. They're not losing muscle or anything. That can't change in 48 hours or so, but this represents dehydration. So if the main reason to begin supplementing here would be whether or not the dehydration is affecting them physically or not, and you're going to know that by their vigor and how they're acting, and with a lot of experience, which you may or may not have, which I fortunately do, putting your hands on a puppy in about 2 seconds, I know whether or not it's dehydrated or whether it needs a second look or whether things are going along just smoothly. So here on the morning of day 3, day 3, Mr. Red is going to weigh 110. Mr. Blue is going to weigh 1.3. Ms. Pink 1.0. Yay for Miss Pink. Pink, you'll see as we go through this, has always been the smallest little girl, smallest birth weight, smallest everything, the littlest angel. So the little one in the litter seems to have her own little private rooting section. Both from a voyeur standpoint like yourselves, and from the household that's taking care of them, we're always overly fond of them, I would say. Miss Green still flat here. I wrote that in the front. The gain is 0. And orange is 1.6, so she's come up a little bit. And yellow is 1.2, so she's still flat across here, and that's not a concern. This is an exceptional jump right here, and if we look at Mr. Red is just a kind of a big moose, and he's everything that you would think of as big bad brother, I think. Day 4, we see 1 pound 13, so we're up 3. We see 1 pound 3, so we're even. Miss Pink is 1.2, so she's actually up another 2. Miss Green is 1.7, she's up 2. Miss Orange is 1.8, so she's up 2. And Miss Yellow is 1.4, so we're up 2. So now we're going from, we forget, Red's an outlier. He looks big, fat, and sassy. His chart says he's big, fat, and sassy. We can stop worrying about him. He's gonna make it to the finish line unless we have an earthquake here. Blue. So now we're going to look at the trend. 0, 1, 0, minus, plus 2. That's pretty good. We like that. 1, 0, 2. That's pretty good. 0, 1, 2. That's pretty good. 1, 0, 4. That's pretty good. So those numbers look nice. What's going to happen on Wednesday? Well, on Wednesday, 1, 15. So we're up another 2. 1, 5, we're up 2. 1, 4, we're up 2. 1, 10, we're up 3. 1, 10, we're up 2. 1, 5, we're up 1. So this is now, these puppies are now taking off. Mother's milk, mother's mammary glands are developing more and more and more. And the recent 3 data is 2, 3, 2, great. 1, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2, 0, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 1, 4, 5. Now so all of that really looks good. So now we're going to look at the big picture of the whole litter. This is obviously Mr. Big. But the second biggest puppy floating around here was Orange. Our birth weights were Mr. Red and Miss Orange were the 2 biggest puppies. And now, going into, let's put one more day in here. Let's put the whole first week in. Mr. Red crosses 2 pounds. So that's up, 3? Blue is 1.6. So we're up 1. 1.6, we're up 2. 1.14. We're up 4. 1.13. We're up 3. And 1.8. We're up 3. What Red is just going to keep on growing like crazy, I'm afraid. We'll talk about him in just a second. This is an interesting data that you'll see many, many times. You'll have a puppy that's really, for a day, jumps up 4, up 3, up 3, when we were a big number. Predictably hard to predict, but you might get the next day at 1 or even 0, and so if you have a big up, they'll kind of fluctuate down. And I see that. I don't consider that a problem. So you really don't want to look at the isolated number for today, but you want to look at the trend for the last 2 or 3 days. You can actually chart the trends if you want. I did that at one time. I spent more time charting them and playing with my puppies, and I was more interested in playing with the puppies, so I gave up that. This is all the data you need because I can visually look at that. That's why I have this kind of whole thing spread out. Now, on a day-to-day basis, we'll go back through here. Mom lays down with the litter. 6 puppies go charging at her. Guess what gets there first? The biggest ones get there first. The littlest ones get there second. And the biggest ones are already fought on, and the littlest ones are weaker, and they're trying to get in, and the fat gets fatter, and the small gets smaller. That's, I think, kind of nature's way. And if you have a dozen puppies, a dozen puppies might not make it if they're out in the wild. But if they're in your bedroom on the floor, and you're with them pretty much 24/7, you can change that. So what we're doing during the day and during the night and all the way in between is essentially when Mom gets down on the litter, the two biggest ones, starting out with red and orange, are going to be the last on. The smallest little ones, pink and blue-ish, well, right here on this day here, pink and blue are the 2 smallest ones, with yellow a close third. So these 3 would go on first, then these 2, and then Mr. Red behind. And that'll change on a day-to-day, day-to-3 basis as these puppies grow, because we're not going to use the birth weight of red and orange to see who's going to be on. We're going to use yesterday's data to see who's going to be on. And we'll do that every morning when we do this weigh-in on Wednesday morning with whatever the 5th was. Red is Mr. Big, green is and orange or Ms. Big collectively, so yellow and pink and blue are going to go on first, get a 5-minute head start, get settled, and then the other 3 can go on. And that'll solve a lot of problems for you if you can just look at the chart. So that's another real big reason that this chart is so powerful. If you choose at the end of the week, you can create we'll call it a body weight percentage weight gain. So if you look at this weight here of Mr. Red of 2.2, 2 pounds 2 ounces, and you compare it to the birth weight of 1 pound 10, and Miss Pink, and everything, if you and do a little higher math, simply subtracting them and creating a percentage of growth. We won't do that live, but red was a whopping 32%. Blue was about 14%. Pink was a nice stable, even though the little small girl was small and still is small. She's the smallest on the whole chart here. Her body weight percentage weight gain was 25%. And so looking at that number, you just know that the likelihood of having a problem if these numbers are above 10% is pretty low. Now granted, if the weight gain was here and they're in a downtrend in the last 3 days, you've got a problem you need to be developing, but you're not going to know that because you're always going to be looking at these last 3 days and seeing what the trend is. I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps. I may have gone a little faster than I should have. Maybe for some of you I went way too fast, but if I'm going way too slow, you can always jump to the next video, I guess. I'm going to put the link for a copy of this weight chart that I use in the description on the box below. And if you have any questions or comments, just post them on the video on the comment section below, and I'll try to help you any way I can. If you end up with the end of the day, end of the week with a chart like this, you're going to have significantly less anxiety and more confidence that you're on the right track, because it's not like you look at, if you call me up on the phone, I got a problem with my puppy and he weighed 1 pound 6 ounces, I'm going to not be able to help you as much as if you tell me that yesterday we had 1.4, yesterday, the day before 1.2, the day before 0 was birth weight was 1, we're now on day 6. Tremendous difference in what we can or can't do for that little kid at that point. So this makes every bit of difference from the standpoint of being confident of being able to going forward with healthy, happy puppies, and it makes every bit of sense of being able to support them. If you would have a problem, you'll have tremendous information. I hope that helps. Any questions, give me a shout in the comment section below, and have a great rest of your day.